I want to show you something in that phrase, that word. The word for altogether and holdest. For if you altogether hold your peace are the same in the Hebrew Aramaic language, and it's the word charash, and it's translated as silent. However, listen to this. Not only can it be translated as silent, but it can also be translated as to engrave, to inscribe letters on a tablet. So let me read this to you a little bit differently with the understanding of that definition. If she's silent, the Jews will be delivered by somebody else, and she will die, and so will her family. Yahweh's going to deliver His people. Do you hear me? But if she inscribes the words on a tablet, it was just for such a time as this that she was called. Did you hear what I just said? Do you understand that? The reason the pure language is being revealed is so that you could write the words and make it plain, so that others might run with the words. Now, you don't have to do it. You don't have to learn the language. You don't have to read and study the Word. You don't have to write the Word on the tablet of your heart and make it plain to other people. You don't have to do that. Well, Yahweh's going to deliver His people. But if you don't do your part, Esther, not only will you be cut off, but your family's going to be cut off. Now, when you look at the gematria and the number 17 and all of the other words that are associated with it, here's some of their meanings. Woe, to burn, to groan, to howl, to be overthrown, to be destroyed, to be brought to a slaughter, to make a circle. And if you look at the gematria of the number 17, there's one word that stands out prominently, and it's the word Agai. And it is the word used to describe Haman. He was an Agite from the house of Amalek. And it confirms the hidden intent of the gematria and the Hebrew words to tell of a future attempt at destroying Israel by another Agite, an Amalekite, another Haman, another anti-Messiah. As we keep looking at it, can y'all hold on for a little while? It looks as if you're just struggling and not going to be able to get it. The word Purim is the plural for the word lot. And of course, you know it was a method of decision-making among the ancients. That word lot, pur, only appears inside the book of Esther. But there's some synonyms of the word Purim, and it's the word goral, which means a lot or a stone. That word appears 3 times in the book of Isaiah, and in particular Isaiah 17, verse 14, where it speaks plainly of the anti-Messiah who would cast lots, Purim, goral, just like Haman did, for the purpose of robbing Israel, and it's again foreshadowed here in Esther and Haman. And if you read Isaiah 17, the entire chapter deals with the destruction of the multitudes, the Gog and Magog war, and how Damascus itself would be made a ruin. Are you with me? That word bazaz, therefore, robbing, is translated as prey in Esther chapter 3, where Haman receives his lot to destroy Israel. And it is in these 2 places in the Torah only where they're seen together. Now, if you look in Isaiah 17:12, you'll see that the word multitudes is used. And the word for multitude in Isaiah 17, verse 12 is hamon, only 1 letter different from Haman. It's not an accident. The Gog-Magog war will force you to be dealing with another Haman. And again, you saw above the letter Pei, 17, in the word paneh. It has a lamed prefix, lapani, which means in front of, towards. And it's interesting, if you look in Isaiah 17:13, you see the nations are going to be chased as the chaff of the wind before lapani, the face of Yahweh, the hidden face, I might add. And it's the wind that will be like a rolling thing before a whirlwind. And it's almost exactly quoting Psalm 83:13. And Psalm 83 deals with the Amalekites again in the future. As a matter of fact, Psalm 83 verse 7 is the only place where the name of Amalek is mentioned. Psalm 83 verse 2 mentions a tumult against Yahweh. And the word that's spelled there for tumult is the word Yehamun, Haman being the root of it again. And in verse 3 it says that there will be those that have taken counsel against the hidden ones. the Esther. And if you notice, the word for hidden here happens to be Zaphon or Zaphon, which means hidden. But if you happen to notice, you'll see Zaphon, the pei nun, the hidden face of Yahweh, in that word as well. Is this a coincidence? I don't think so. You see two different shadow pictures in one here, the Messiah and the anti-Messiah. And the setting of Esther's story begins in Esther 1, verse 1, and it gives you the details, the scope, if you will, of the kingdom of this king Ahasuerus. And his name, it's been translated as, I will be silent and poor. Poor translation. It literally means my brother, Ach. It means my brother, the root branch. It says that he ruled over India and Ethiopia and 127 provinces. And to show you that there's no word stuck in there by accident, the word India here in Hebrew is the word hodu. You know what hodu means? Praise. And it's the root of the word Yahodu, Judah. Praise. The word Ethiopia here, Strong's number 3568, is translated as Cush. Strong's defines it as meaning black. However, Psalm 7 refers to Cush as a Benjamite from the house of Benjamin, like Mordecai. Could this infer that the king ruled over not only India, Judah, Yahodu, but Benjamin as well? I believe so. 127 provinces, the years of Sarah's life, inferring the whole house of Israel again. Let's look at the word province. You should be familiar with it. How many of you know anything at all about Mideastern geography? The word province here is translated in Hebrew as the word Medina, place in Saudi Arabia. It means providence, or province rather, or judgment. It was also the place originally known as Midian. Daniel 11:24 tells us the anti-Messiah will enter the fattest places of the province. The word fattest here is the word mashaman, which means the fertile places, like those that are ripe, fertile, and full of olive oil. From shaman, or sheman, a word for oil. Could it infer that with the future anti-Messiah's attempt to desecrate the holy place, which is where the oil was supposed to be kept burning, the abomination of desolation? I think so. I believe not only is he going to attempt to desecrate Yahodu, the place of Yehuda, where the tabernacle will be, but I also believe he will attempt to desecrate the place known as Mount Sinai, down in Medina, Midian. This king is seen seated on a throne in the palace of Shushan. The word throne is kasi. The root of it is chasah, which means to cover and to hide, to be concealed. One seated on a hidden throne. The word Shushan is translated as lily. However, the root of it is shesh, 6. It's also the word for alabaster and linen, materials used in the construction of the tabernacle. Could this infer that this particular king sits on a hidden throne that will be constructed at the end of the 6th day? And hidden here, could you infer that the holy place is where he will sit and call himself Yah? Let's look at the word Vashti. If you go back and study, you'll find that the sages teach that she made herself intentionally naked. And the reason she did so was because she was rebelling against the king's wishes. And of course, that's a shadow picture of Israel, who made herself a prey to nakedness in front of her king and was cut off. Well, this particular king throws a party for 180 days. That's from Passover to Tabernacles. It's a picture of the bride who's redeemed, chosen, and finally presented in the presence of the king, just like Esther was. In Esther 2, verse 1, it tells us that he remembers Vashti, but we know she cannot be taken back. And so what does he have to do? In order for her to be taken back, someone else has to marry her. Right? Well, the word for remember is the word zakar, which means to mark for remembrance. But the construct of that word's origin infers the idea of piercing, or to be born a male. The male one who was pierced is the one who will take her back. And then we're given in Esther chapter 1, 10 through 14, 7 heads of the government, and I'm close to being finished, 7 heads of the government of this individual that's ruling in Persia. And it tells you that those individuals knew the times. The word times. The first one's name is Karshena. His name is translated as illustrious. The second one's name was Sethar. Again, the root of that is the word star. The next name is Admatha, which means a testimony to them. The next one is Tarshish, which is a yellow jasper stone, but it's literally translated as the place of the stone. The next one is Meres, which means lofty and worthy. Marsina, which means a worthy man. Memucan, which means dignified. And if you put all of these definitions, this is what it's telling you. Understanding the times caused them to see an illustrious star that was a testimony to them. At the place of the stone was a lofty, worthy, dignified man. And I have here for your benefit, could this refer to the stone of Jacob, also known as the stone of Scone, where the anti-Messiah will sit in the holy place in the coming days? Remember, these are individuals in this pagan king's entourage. Well, this is talking about the anti-Messiah and what you're going to see happen. Well, the sages teach us that Mordecai is the individual who stood in opposition, the son of the right hand, Benjamin. His name has been translated as Marduk, one who worshipped Marduk, the god, the pagan god. But a better rendering of it is Mirdekah, which means pure myrrh. He was the son of Jair, son of Shimei, son of Kish, a Benjamite. And I'll be finished if y'all can hold on. The word Jair, Yair, means he enlightens. The sages call him the son who enlightens the eyes of Israel with his prayer. And he was a son of Shimei, or Shimei. Of course, the root of that is Shema, the son whose prayers heard. He was the son of Kish, which means bent, intertwined. The rabbis teach that he was the son who knocked on the doors of mercy. Revelation 3, verse 20, behold, I stand at the door and knock. Esther chapter 2, verse 7 says this, Vayehi Aman et Hadassah hu Esther. And he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, talking about Mordecai. He's the one that will bring the bride up, and he's the one that will prepare her for her being made identified to the king. He's the one that will instruct her, and he's the one that will give her insight about what's going to happen. Each one of this gives us a shadow picture of Mordecai as Yeshua, who cares for and nurtures the bride. However, the word Esther and Hadassah are very powerful insight regarding who she is to be. Esther means she's the hidden one. Hadassah means the myrtle blossom, and the fragrance of the myrtle blossoms only smelled after she's been bruised and crushed. And when she's made visible, when she's identified, it's then that the fragrance of the bride will be known across the world. She will be bruised, she will be crushed, she will not be destroyed. Why? Because she's charged with writing on a tablet the pure language of Yahweh and making that tablet plain so others may read it and run with it. I hope you've enjoyed this teaching. Thank you for listening. Shalom.